Oh, did you?
He knew an artist today. I was very.
Who?
He knew Oliver Tree, which was kind of like a mean TikTok guy, so it was kind of checked out. But
Okay.
I started about him like 2 years ago.
Okay, not off TikTok, Jake?
Yeah, not off TikTok.
What is you do back? Huh? What are you saying, Avery?
Wasn't it Musically?
Yeah, that's where you're Oliver Tree.
I never want to download Musically. Vine, bro.
All right, guys, we are about to go on YouTube, and YouTube only will still be here, but you ain't gonna see the square. You'll only see the rectangle. Do you get it? He's a happy camper. He's gonna need this positive thing right now. I read over the questions, and I was like kind of talking to myself.
And welcome everybody to Enter the Bunker, fun challenges empowering you, the people, to survive and thrive in today's world. And today, we are doing a podcast
About positivity.
Positive.
And questions of the unanswered.
Yes, we will deep dive into some very deep questions, and we will share with the chat our insights, and we'll certainly want to get insights from the chat, so that we can all learn together on these important subjects that certainly help you to survive and thrive in today's world. Because
choke right now.
Positive attitude is like everything. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, choke.
Thanks. And my eyes are like gushing because I'm like trying to hold it back and not cough into the mic. TikTok just fell down.
We just lost TikTok. Yeah, it just really went down.
It's okay.
But we're okay here on YouTube, so everybody in TikTok should have come over to YouTube so they could join us.
I'm pretty sure I probably just gave everyone a jump scare. Anybody who's going to listen to the podcast is a podcast and not a video. All right, so, sorry, I think you were saying something, but I'm going to say hi to the chat because everyone's saying hi. All right, so Kelsey North. Hello. WW2 unknown. Haven't seen you in a while, WW2. Bruce Smith, Jace Rodriguez.
I don't know, I can't really see it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Jace Rodriguez, Noble. Hey, Noble. Hey.
Oh.
XAV. How do you guys think you pronounce that?
Well, that's what it's right on the corner. I think you just, the X is silent,
so
then it's just Ava.
Abba, like Abba. James, hello James, and Steve and Greg. Steve says, don't choke. You seen it, didn't you? I definitely did. That's what you get for using TikTok.
True.
True story. How's the bunkers? The bunkers are good. We're putting in a new well today.
Yes.
If you follow our Instagram, you can check out the latest picture that we have posted on there. We actually dug an 80-foot trench.
It's a pretty big trench.
8 feet down, deeper than your average grave.
Yes.
Did you know that graves are only 4 feet deep nowadays? So we've been lied to our whole lives.
Yeah, you don't go 6 feet under, you only go 4.
Okay, back to positivity. Because there's nothing positive about that. I'm super excited for today because sometimes I'm asked a question and like the first thing that pops in my head is like a negative answer. It's like, who cares or what matters? But today we really have to focus on the positiveness of it.
Absolutely.
I feel like I need that in my life right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I could use some of that too.
Pizza party.
Yes.
That would give me positivity.
Yes, pizza parties are a good way to stay positive, I agree.
Me too. Lots of water. Oh, if you choke, maybe? What are your favorite military vehicles if you have one? A tank.
I'm missing a Pathfinder.
That's not a military vehicle.
I think he was assuming that we had military vehicles here.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, yeah, tanks would be cool.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to drive one.
Me either. But it would be so cool. I'd be one of the ones to stick his head out the thing. Winning lottery ticket. That would be positive, wouldn't it? It so would. All right, so we have a list of questions. I'm not exactly sure how we're being presented these questions today, but we do have a list.
I'm going to ask them to you.
And Bailey is going to ask them to us. So that is
So-
super exciting.
I have some questions here that nobody really knows the answers to, and both of you need to answer them as positively as you can, because some of these questions can very easily just be taken down a dark path. So that's not the point of what we're doing. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you both to try and figure out an answer, elaborate as long or as much as you'd like, and then once you two have kind of settled on your answer, we'll see what the chat thinks about them too. Sound good?
After each question?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be jumping back and forth to the chat to the chat today, unlike what we said the other day.
Changing rules.
But just for podcast days, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, podcast days, we're talking a lot, so we want to hear what the chat's saying too.
Exactly. But we're not allowed to pause, so don't let us pause. You guys just better keep pounding in those things on the chat. Abby wants to ask a question. Should we let them ask the question before we get started?
Sure.
All right, you better ask quick.
I think it's going to be, do you follow back on TikTok?
Yeah, he's been asking that a few times now.
Oh, sometimes we put on little promotions where we say certain things and we'll follow back like 5 people at a time, but not very often, so,
Oh, it was actually how many bunkers do that?
Oh, we have
2.5.
Yes.
Can't forget the tunnels. Okay, let's get on with this.
So the first question is, why do we sleep?
Do you want to answer? Do we want to go back and forth and you answer one first, or we just whatever pops in our heads?
Why do we sleep?
And not just a basic, oh, because you need to sleep. Like, no, why do we sleep?
To close our eyes. That is like the most basic answer ever, and I'm going to elaborate on that once I think of an elaboration. Is elaboration a word?
So
Why do we sleep?
there's a couple of different ways you can answer that question. And I think that it depends on who you're talking to, what kind of answer that they want to hear,
Okay.
you know? So for example, if we wanted to take a very physical, scientific kind of a answer,
Approach. Yep.
I think the latest research indicates that it's almost like the idea of sleep is to allow our minds to it's kind of like with computers, where computers, the way they work is they process a lot of information,
Yep.
and then they have to defragment their information, right? So there's a thing called defrag on your computer. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it takes all the information and just reorganizes it so it's optimized, right?
Okay.
So in the old days, like when computers were first coming out, you'd have to do this like relatively often because the way the information got stored on the drive was getting really jumbled up.
Yep.
So the latest theory is that you basically, that through your day you have all kinds of experiences and so forth, and when you go to sleep,
Right.
it's your mind just kind of reorganizing itself so
Alright.
that when you wake up you optimize. And on top of that, when you go to sleep, your body is no longer being interfered by your mind.
I beg to differ.
So what that means is that this is a little bit esoteric, but it's actually biological.
What?
So what happens when you go to sleep is that your conscious mind shuts off. And so then that allows for your regular physical self to just run, like your body's biology, with everything it knows about how to take care of itself, can go to work and can actually just like take care of healing, and everything in your system continues, right, while you're asleep. When you wake up though, what happens is the biology of your body changes to your conscious mind. So if you have like stress, for
Right.
example, then that physically impacts your body's operations, right?
Yes.
People who have certain thoughts, like let's say that they have I don't know, some kind of trauma in their life or something, and it manifests itself as like a heart condition. You know, as when they wake up, they're reenacting that, and it just like it keeps on impacting their health. But when they go to sleep, it allows the body to just be able to function normally and try to repair that damage from the conscious mind.
You're really smart.
So there's a book out there called The Biology of Belief,
Okay.
and it's by Bruce Lipton. And
Check it out.
if you read that book, I don't know if it specifically talks about dreams, but it talks about these types of things where the conscious mind creates an imprint on the biology of the body and how it works based on our beliefs. So when we go to sleep, so this has all been very scientific. If I was talking to somebody scientifically, this is what I think. I would say, you're just defragmenting your thoughts, and that's all that happens. But I believe there's more. I believe that I believe that it allows your mind, whatever you might want to call it,
Yeah.
to be able to transverse time and space.
I think we sleep so we're able to dream.
Transversing time and space.
Right.
So Shakespeare's
So when I say that, that means that essentially not just your mind, I'd say your soul
Right.
is able to
What's that thing that your body releases when you dream?
serotonin.
Is it serotonin? I thought it started with a D. Rogan guy talks about it a lot.
Dopamine?
Is that no?
No, I don't know.
It might be serotonin. Anyway, sorry.
Well, serotonin is what gets released when like it puts you to sleep,
DMT.
right?
Is that a thing? Is that what you said, Bailey?
DMT is like a drug.
Yeah.
It doesn't get released when you sleep?
I think maybe it does, but to take it in large doses.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about that. I just mean like release, because you're talking about like your mind and your soul.
Yeah.
Right.
Noble Canadian had a good answer for this.
I liked his answer a lot.
Noble Canadian.
Yeah, he said, so we can enter an alternate reality to cope with the world we live in today.
Kind of, and that's, I feel like that's what I'm taking by what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, it depends on your definition of an alternate reality. Maybe it is actually reality. It is not just the alternate.
Right, because I have crazy dreams, like really crazy.
How do
But
you
there's
ex-
people
how do you,
actually,
how do you explain dreams that manifest the future?
that's what I was actually just going to get into, because my dad one time had a dream. There was like a plane that crashed into a bridge, and he asked about that before it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that happens actually to quite a few people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know how to explain that. But if I did, I'd be a lot smarter than I am right now. Right?
So do you see how, like, some of us have the same general idea of why we need sleep, but then how some people can just answer and say, like, well, I need sleep or else I'm grouchy and mean, or I need sleep just because I need to recharge, or some people might say, like, I need my beauty sleep so that I look good the next day. Like, it's different. Like, it's not that there's no answer to the question. It's just that, like, there's not one for sure answer.
Right.
Because they all matter. Every answer is valid. Everyone makes sense. So that's kind of the aim we're going for today. Everyone's going to have their own opinions and ideas. And so far, I enjoy the responses we're getting.
I know, me too. Noble says they record their dreams in a journal. I
That's-
should try that,
that's a
because
good
what
idea.
I dream about is freaking crazy sometimes.
I used to, a long time ago, I used to actually share my dreams online.
Did you?
Yeah. And I went back to, I think it was like LiveJournal. I don't know if you remember that
That's
site.
hilarious.
LiveJournal is like super old.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the Tumblr before Tumblr.
That was like before MySpace, you know?
Early 2000s.
So I remember I used to share some of my dreams, and actually like years later I remembered the site, and I went back and I read
You
them.
could
I was
reread
like,
them. That's
holy cow. But another thing about about sleeping that I think is interesting, at least for me,
Yeah.
is that when I wake up, oftentimes I find that I wake up and I've got a solution to something, which sometimes either I consciously was like needing that solution,
Yeah.
or it just kind of comes to me like suddenly this like totally new innovation like concept just suddenly hits me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then the next thing you know, I'm like texting people to tell them
Your ideas.
like there it is. It's like, and it's like it's coming. It's like a wave, and I got to get it out.
Right.
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 And that happens to
That's
me
cool.
oftentimes just after I woke up. Like, it's not like, and like I said, it's not like I was like actively thinking about it. It's just suddenly just hit me. And if you look at history, some people that have invented things throughout the years, they talk about how a lot of the problems they had, they actually found the answers in their dreams, like when they slept. Like, it came to them in a dream, and then then they wake up, they'd immediately like respond to it. Some of them actually talk about how they rushed because it actually, they had the vision of in their dream of like some kind of design, and then they like rushed as soon as they woke up to try to write it down, right? Just like Noble Canadian did.
Yeah.
And that's how some things throughout our history have actually been invented. Yeah. So
that's cool.
So the power of like, you know, what happens when we sleep, sort of thing, I think is not just the physical layer that has to take care of our body, like just as in terms of the biology of our body to regenerate itself after, you know, what our conscious mind does to it throughout the day, but also allowing our creative minds to be able to access the inner depths of our souls.
I can vouch for Jonathan there, because if you worked with Jonathan long enough, you definitely got a frantic 5:30 a.m. text at 2:30 a.m.
Yes. I agree 100%. And I kind of makes me feel like I'm not utilizing my sleep good enough, because I don't really feel like that happens to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
And I'm like,
But it's not like a choice you can make, right? Like it's not just
maybe
something
if I
that
meditated
happens.
before going to bed and relaxed myself more and wasn't so stressed.
It's
Maybe.
kind of like how some people have like sleep paralysis, and like they don't want to sleep because
Like
like,
the
it's
old lady?
horrifying to them.
Sitting on their chest.
Yeah, like it's like you can't choose to have that.
Have you ever seen the clip of Steve Harvey yelling at the audience that successful people, like, you can't be successful and sleep 8 hours a night?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the corniest thing, but I was wondering.
How many hours of sleep do you get a night?
Long time ago. I mean, like, when I was younger, I used to get sleep deprived. And yeah, I wouldn't have that same kind of creativity come to me like when I wake up.
Right.
But I find as I get older, I find that I'm on more of a schedule now. And typically my body doesn't allow me to sleep more than 7 hours or so. You know, like if I can get 7 hours, I know I'm good, right? If I can get more, that would be amazing. But
If you get more than that, do you feel like you overslept?
no. My body just will wake up by itself.
Right.
Like it just doesn't allow me to keep going.
Oversleep.
Yeah. And plus, when you have kids, good luck with that.
That's why maybe that's why the creativity isn't coming to me, because I'm sleep deprived 24/7.
Yeah, it's really hard when you have kids to be able to get even a decent night's sleep.
Steve Harvey aside, most successful people I think would say that like 7 to 9 is the sweet spot, somewhere there.
Okay. I remember reading a thing one time that said some people can live off like 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night, and some people need like 8 to 9 hours, like depending on who you are, I guess, and where you're at in your life and all that jazz.
Yeah.
There's so many other factors to go with it.
Yeah, but even like if you get sleep deprived, I remember like hearing a study that if you are deprived for long enough, you're literally going to go crazy.
I believe that.
And again, that goes back to the whole defrag thing, like I described. Like I think your thoughts will just get more and more jumbled up to the point where it's affecting now your conscious mind, and you can't.
The moral of
Can't
the
keep straight.
story is make sure you get your sleep, people, and
Yeah.
stay positive.
Yeah. Positive things happen when you go to sleep. Then again, there's also nightmares. What's that?
Yeah, what's that? Let's not get into that. Right
I rarely have nightmares.
I used to have them a lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's rope it back in.
Okay, we're running back.
We'll go on to the next
I was the
question.
one that brought up the nightmares.
So the next one I have is, do you have a good day or do you make a good day?
Definitely make a good day,
100% make a good day.
because life is what you make it.
Yes.
You don't wake up and just, I mean, you might be on autopilot sometimes, but you're probably not going to have a good day. You need to wake up, think positive thoughts in your head, and get them done and do them. And then that's going to make you have a good day. You're going to elaborate more on this because that's just who you are.
I share memes on this stuff all the time.
Yes,
right?
you do.
So
I figured John would like this one.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you have a good, I mean, like having a good day comes from the attitude you have towards your day,
Right.
right? So you can have terrible things happen, but depending on your attitude, it'll determine how good of a day it's going to be,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So you can look at, something bad happens, you can either take it as an opportunity to be able to grow,
Yep.
and then you're like, wow, fantastic, I had this opportunity to be able to rise above this,
Right.
Or you can take it like, oh, my life's always crap all the time, why does this happen to me? Blah, blah, blah.
I also,
Right.
on a side note of that, I also think it's good that if something bad does happen, you need to take the time for yourself. And if you need that time, take that 10 minutes or one day or whatever the situation is that you need that time. Take it, but then make sure you jump back out of that
Yeah.
and get back into life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think people can also, like, have you ever walked away from a conversation with Riley and been like, my day's bad? Like, Riley's just a guy that's just a happy-go, like, there's people that can affect your day as well.
Yes, I agree.
There are energy suckers in the world, energy vampires. You hear that term?
I believe it.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Fun suckers.
I think I'm a good energy giver. Like, even if I'm in a crappy mood, I still usually, towards people, I'm still like, and try to make the best of everything.
Yeah.
But if in a bad mood, watch it. Just joking.
Have you guys ever woke up thinking you're gonna have a bad day and then it didn't go as bad as you thought? So in perspective, it felt like a good day.
I often I think that stuff about pain. Like, I always think something's gonna hurt like crazy, and then when it doesn't, it's like, oh, it wasn't so bad. But then my adrenaline goes from here to here, and then I pass out, so. Off topic again.
Okay.
Bad day would be.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. At least there's no slow periods in this podcast. Not question. Oh,
No, just pause real quick. John, is your mic in a weird spot?
I don't know. Is it?
It seems like it's muffled a little.
It's right up against my thingy here.
It might just be getting caught in the fabric. Yeah, that should be good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
cool. So I think that's, wait, we'll see.
So Kelsey made a
Yeah,
comment,
I
and
was just
she
about to read
said,
those.
I'm an empath, so I feed off others' energy. So I can feel that. I understand what she's saying. But are empaths, for the most part, is it easy or hard for empathetic people to not pull negative energy off of others? Like, how can you curb that? So if you're in a situation and you're with a group of people and you're in a meeting or something and everyone in the meeting is just like really bad vibes, really grouchy, like what can you do to walk away from that meeting and not feel as down in the dumps as everyone else in that room?
Smile.
Make the choice.
Make the choice to be happy.
Yep. Being happy is a decision away.
Which is, I think, is easier said than done, but guys, it's all in your mind.
But it's like a muscle. Right.
It is,
So-
a mind muscle.
If you keep doing it over and over, then eventually you're gonna be like, whoa,
And then
I am
you'll-
super positive.
Exactly, and you'll end up doing it and you won't even notice that you're doing it. You're just like, holy crap, I just literally walked into that. And normally this would make me really upset, but why am I so happy? Because you've trained yourself
Yeah,
to do that.
that's right. It's living magnanimously. You know that term?
It's like, no, but this is really making me feel.
Living magnanimously is when don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. It's when you have that as a perspective, then things can come at you, and instead of like something coming at you like it's like a big harpoon gun that just gets you in the chest,
Yeah.
it's just like a little like
Arrow.
a toothpick, and you're just kind of like
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything to you. And it all has to do with your attitude. And again, like a muscle, you keep exercising. At first, when you try to do that, what happens? It hurts, right? It hurts when you start to exercise those kind of muscles in positivity, and you're just like, you still fall back and you feel like crap sometimes and so forth. But as long as you keep on doing it, eventually it gets easy, right?
And you'll
Next
just
thing you
end
know,
up-
you're benching 200 and no problem, right?
And you're going to do it without even thinking.
yeah.
All right, I like that question. That was a good one. What was the question again?
Do you have a good day or do you
Oh, right.
make a good day?
Right.
It's
Right.
funny because even as I type that out, like grammar, it it still has the word make underlined, saying that I should correct it to have, saying like, do you have a good day?
Or do you have a good day?
Yeah, and it's like, well, no, you can make a good day too.
Right. Isn't that funny? Spell check's not always right.
So the next question I have here is, why do we put so much value into physical appearances?
Do we though?
Exactly, and that's something you can argue. Because for some people, no. And then for other people, absolutely.
So I think it has a little bit to do with gender.
No. I disagree.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Guys like looking good too.
well,
I sat here and assumed that he was talking about females wanting to look good all the time. But he could have been talking about guys wanting to look good all the time. But I
no, it's like
assumed
why? No, the question was why do we value? What was the
why we
question?
look good. Why we want to look good.
No, what was the question?
Why do we put so much value into physical appearances?
Why we put so much value in
no matter
physical
what the gender
appearances?
is, why is there value in it at all? Or is there at all?
So
So he's thinking very hard and deep right now.
I mean, it all has to do with like, I mean, it's just biological attractiveness, right?
Yeah.
And part of it is also just, I mean, we're biological, so we want to put on a show that, you know, where like guys will wear like you see like rich people, they wear like the fancy watches and the jewelry and all that to show off, and that's a way of trying to attract a mate in very simple biological terms, right? And also socially to also appear to be like the alpha per se. So all of that is for show without actually anybody knowing you. You're putting out this message, right?
And I don't necessarily think that. Read the question again, because I had a thought.
Why do we put so much value into physical appearances?
Why do we put? And I don't necessarily think that we always do. Like, I think it's like if you feel good, you want to.
So you're saying it's a reflection of your attitude that you end up looking attractive.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. But then what isn't there a thing where, okay, I remember this movie. Do you know that cartoon movie called Ugly Dolls?
No.
Okay, it's a perfect movie for this subject, I think.
Okay.
So Ugly Dolls, you can watch it on Prime if you guys are watching. Like if you go to Prime on Amazon,
Yeah.
you can find Ugly Dolls. I think it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there.
Hi, Brian.
So Ugly Dolls is this animated movie, and it's all about this world of dolls. And what happens is it's in a factory, and there's the ugly dolls get dumped, and then there's the pretty dolls that are perfect in the land of perfection, right? And what happens is the dolls that get dumped are all staying together in this place called Uglyville, right?
Okay.
And they think they're fine, but they're ugly.
But they're loving life.
Yeah, and they're loving life until they make their way into the land of perfection.
Oh no.
And the land of perfection is judging them left, right, and center, saying you're not perfect, so you can't be here, right?
Sad.
This cast list is hilarious.
And the cast list is really good because they're
Tell me
actually
why
all
is that?
beautiful, right?
It's all like
Super beautiful people make the cast.
like half like the musicians your mom listens to. Pitbull, Kelly Clarkson, Blake Shelton.
One of them though, who's the guy that plays Lou? He's like a.
Lou.
I don't see Lou on there.
There should be a Lou.
Side note, my boys have these hats, and they were ugly doll hats, and those are what they were.
Oh, there you go.
Nick Jonas.
Jonas. Okay.
Yeah.
So
He's pretty.
yeah, he's very pretty. Good singer too, especially in this. I like the songs he sings in here.
I need to watch this. This
So
will be our Friday night movie.
now I forget the question. Oh yeah, attractiveness. So they don't know that they're ugly until they get into this world. But there's this one character, of course, who's the leader,
Yep.
who is all about wanting to go to the outside world so that they can have a kid. Like that's what every doll exists for, is to have a kid, right?
Okay.
So they're so ugly they just can't be sent out into
Yep.
the real world because
Right.
they're too ugly. No one's gonna love them. They're ugly, right? That's the message.
That's so sad.
Everyone wants a perfect doll,
No,
right?
they don't.
Well, that's what this world of perfection
Right,
thinks,
right.
right? But this one character just believes that she'll be loved just the same, right? And eventually she makes it to the real world. And sure enough, she's like, the kid ends up looking almost like her and ends up loving her because of that.
Aww.
Right? So, but the whole idea of attractiveness and the value of it in this movie, it's really it's explored really well considering it's a kid's
I'm
movie,
curious
right?
on it now, for sure.
Yeah. So I would recommend that to get some insights on this question, watch Ugly Dolls.
Noble says, to continue the human species, we need, like John said, to attract a mate. So I'm going to get off topic for a second and not talk about humans. I'm going to talk about animals and birds, because birds do all these little funky dances to attract mates.
Yeah.
It's like us looking good to attract a mate. So, but I still think that the happier you are, the more you're going to attract. I don't know how. You made that sound really good when I said it earlier.
Your attitude will come through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree. Because truthfully, I mean, like but she was asking about physical attractiveness, why we put so much on that, and you said because what's inside of you comes out and makes you look attractive,
right.
And so we want to show it.
Because I've been depressed, and you don't want to get ready for the day, and then I don't know, but then that's just me looking at myself thinking I look ugly, but who's to say? My mom still thinks I'm beautiful no matter what I look like, so I don't know, that's a toughie.
Yeah.
But everyone's beautiful in their own ways. True story. You are. Okay. Question number 4.
Let's go on to the next question.
So, to follow that one up, is our concept of right really right? What makes something right or wrong?
I thought we weren't going to be controversial here.
Can we skip this question?
Because this lands right in the world of like, well, the Bible tells you what's right and wrong. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
This is an election season type of question.
No, but it doesn't need to be. Like, it's a matter of, like, look outside of controversy, look outside of the election, look outside of trying to be right in this argument, and just, like, hear someone else's opinion. Like, what does it mean to be right? So say, like, if, I don't know, for example, a couple weeks ago, our brand new toilets, someone flushed brown paper towel down the brand new toilets, and that was wrong, right? But why was it wrong? Because it clogged the toilet.
Right.
But then if you're in an argument with someone, and you both don't agree on the same thing, it's just as easy to agree to disagree as it is to say one is right or one is wrong.
Right.
So why do we put value into being right or wrong, when it could just be a matter of agree to disagree?
My finger is hovering over the end stream button.
I agree to disagree a lot. Like, I am not going to end a friendship or get in an argument over something. I usually don't care about it, for one. Like, if they're wanting to talk about it, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting off topic here. I don't know. Like,
I don't think you're.
I don't know. I just feel like,
I think
yeah.
if you come across a situation that you've never been in before and you have to make a decision, what is the barometer for that decision?
whatever. Go with my gut.
So is your gut the drive of what's right and wrong?
I guess so. Common sense isn't so common.
That's what I say often.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But I like how you explained it. I should have just gave that answer. Noble says, I'm gonna go with Noble. I think you experience in life either negative or positive experiences other than the right or wrong ones. Negative experience could be others' positive experience. Exactly. That's a good way. So, no one's ever right or wrong. There are no laws.
Laws has to do with my next question.
I know, I knew that, so I winked. I can't really wink though.
Can a society exist without laws?
Ooh. So I was reading these questions over last night with my mom, and I said, nope. I was like, yes, they can. And she was like, what? She was dead set. Society could not exist without laws. And then I said, well, if there wasn't laws, people wouldn't want to rebel against them.
Exactly.
So,
But maybe some laws would be good.
It's either with or without.
I don't know. That's a toughie too.
if you're all alone, you don't need any laws.
Right. In
Right.
a world of lonesome.
Yeah, as long as you're alone. But then, I mean,
If I could make the laws, all of the laws, then laws would be worth it.
are we talking about laws or are we talking about rules?
Can a society exist without laws?
Laws. No rules.
Think back to cavemen times. Was there laws then?
No, and they all lived perfectly happy and ate with their hands and feet, and it was great.
Yeah, so a
Lived
law.
happily until they were 17 and they got murdered
Yeah.
Why?
because there was no law.
Life expectancy back then wasn't exactly due to lack of protections.
You mentioned there were 4 different species of caveman-like animals, and only one of them came out on top.
But
Really?
animals
Yeah.
live lawless. Animals live completely lawless, and they're out there and they're fine. The only thing
What
that's
if
messing
they
with the
use
animals
them?
is hunters.
So
Some animals.
the definition of
Some
law,
animals.
the definition of law is a system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes and as regulating the actions of its members, and which it may enforce by imposing of penalties. Interesting. So the very definition of laws instigates
Yeah, sum that up
violence,
for me in a stupider way.
violence against others.
That's
So-
why laws were made.
Well, no, it's saying that. I mean, it's basically saying that there's rules
Yeah.
that everybody agrees on,
Right?
and if you don't follow them, there's a penalty.
But not everybody agrees on the rules.
I remember the Star Trek episode, Next Generation. This reminds me of that episode where they land on this planet and it's like this beautiful Eden. You know, everybody. It looks like everybody's. You know, everyone's beautiful and running around and beautiful music, and it's like heaven on earth. And they join them and they're just like, oh, this is so great. We're meeting new people. And then Will, the kid, of course, does something stupid like he does in every episode. Does something stupid and accidentally steps on a plant.
Right.
And they're like, oh, you've broken the law, right? And everybody freaks out. And they're like, we're so sorry. And it's like, well, what's the penalty for breaking the law? Death. It's like
Yikes.
the one rule we have here is that if you break the law, you die. That was it. And this is a Star Trek episode, so they freak out, right?
Right.
Like in a typical
I don't want to die.
in a typical Star Trek fashion, they're like, well, that's not right, you know, like we have our own rules, and then of course they save the kid and then cause a big kerfuffle, and this is why they can't explore the planets, because they go imposing their own ideas on others. So the thing is, though, is that that's a good example, I think, of what would happen if there were no laws. There has to be an agreement on
But
what
who
type
gets
of.
to agree?
Well, in my world, it would be completely a peer-to-peer consensus algorithm, decentralized type of an arrangement where these decisions are made. But in our world, we have these powers that be make these rules, and they tend to serve the powers that be better than they do the populace.
Lord of the Flies is a good read on this.
Lord of the Flies is another one on this topic also.
I actually remember that book.
I do too. Yeah.
I really liked what Noble said. Can society exist without laws? I would say no, but a person can survive without them.
Yeah. As a society, there has to be an agreed upon rules.
But even still, as an individual, don't you have rules that you adhere to?
That you set for yourself.
self-imposed rules?
I think those are more standards.
They kind of like how you, well, I mean, most of us in the world, we have like our own, like, I mean, it's against the law to kill someone, yeah, but you also just have it in your head, like, you don't do that, like, I don't do that, no one should do that, like, that's
Right.
just like a general, like, most
But there's
people just
sickos
agree
out
on
there. No.
Do you think society would be more likely to succeed without laws if we were in smaller groups of like 10 to 100 people?
Per Earth?
Like, not like per Earth, but like your society, like your group of people is like 100 people or less, and then everybody else has their own group of 100 people. Do you think because they would all have a better connection with everybody in their circle that?
Those are called communities, yes. So communities already do that naturally, like within our cities and states and countries. Like they gather together and they kind of have their own cultural rules and norms, right, that they celebrate together. But I think that if there was more of that, right now there isn't. it's become all very centralized. And because it's so centralized, it's stomping on the wants and needs of many different groups. If it was more decentralized, like what Jake's talking about, where there's small groups that know each other, that understand the needs of that populace, then they can be better served by that unit by the rules that are,
Like a jail.
are done in there. How did we get there?
A decentralized jail. Everyone's all
Put them all in their cells. Everything's perfect.
Well, I feel like what you're saying is like they put all the murderers together in one jail usually, and they put all the gross pedophiles in another section of the jail. And
It's a show about positivity, by the way.
Right, off topic. Okay.
Why can't you say they put all the like agricultural flower children here, and they put all the
Yes.
okay?
Yes. But then you're actually, I don't really like that either, because then you're actually, no, because
It sounds
that's
like you're,
segregation.
It sounds like you're promoting segregation.
But
yes.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Positivity is not that.
Well, the truth is that like seeketh like, and taketh pleasure in the company of its kind. That is
Repeat that again, please.
It like seeketh like, and taketh pleasure in the company of its kind. That's a quote. I'm not sure from where. You can look it up on the internet and you'll find where it came from.
Liketh.
Yeah, I used at the end, so it's official. So it's true that we're attracted to like-minded people. We're attracted to people who are like us because just like social media, we like to mirror ourselves.
Right.
It's a Baha'i reference, of course.
I was gonna say.
It's from the Hidden Words. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, son of desire. Yeah, so it's a hidden word. I know that. So, yeah, just like the internet with social media, it's like a mirror. We want to be around. We want to be able to see ourselves all the time.
Right.
And that's what people do. And if you organize in that fashion, so if somebody actually values diversity or values being able to see different things in others,
Right.
then that diversity will form.
Right. Yeah. I agree
So
with that.
so it's so it's not necessarily that you're going to end up with everybody being the same. You
Right.
can end up with groups that are very diverse.
Yeah.
Right? Because they value that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It all comes down to this comes back to community building. This all comes back to communities around the world with the internet today. It doesn't matter where you are. What matters is if you're like-minded, you can now organize in a way where you can connect with people wherever they are that have the same kind of thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
And what happens in those communities? They form rules. And they start to organize themselves around the values that they hold. For example, in the Pure Place community, in our Telegram chat, we never ban anybody. Like it's like there's hardly anybody who's ever been like banned from the channel. They're allowed to say the crappiest things, right? Because we value, and they do, because we value freedom, because we value freedom so highly in that community.
Yeah.
You go to another channel though, like even in blockchain, you go to some channels, you will get banned like that if you say even the slightest thing
That's
that
not what
they don't like.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you get banned, like the marketing team has Pure Plays or PBSA in their name, and we'll get banned just joining.
Yeah.
Because you have that in your name.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's all about community. It's about organizing around people who have have the same kind of thinking. As long as they share the same kind of values and they have that identity, they'll form rules and laws that allow them to be able to coexist with each other in a way that they can all agree with each other. So the problems arise where you put somebody in there that isn't a part of that, right? You call them the trolls, right?
Rebels.
So they're not trolls in some places, but they're trolls in others, right? It all depends on what they really value. So as long as people organize around like-minded values, everything goes fine. But then as soon as you cross over and then you get into spaces that don't share your values, then those rules that they have are going to cross with you, and you're going to be the one that gets penalized. Yes, I've answered it all.
Yeah, this was interesting. That question for sure. And the positive thing about jails is that they put the bad people away. Just saying.
Until
I had to be positive because you made me feel bad.
True,
Yeah,
true.
bad people, like, sometimes I get it wrong.
Yeah, sometimes I do get it wrong. And
Yeah.
that's the laws for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
They get a second chance now because they're being let out because of COVID.
What?
So that's
Oh, yeah.
positive too. You got a second chance.
Okay, sorry. What, Bailey?
I didn't say nothing. I didn't say a thing.
This just got me thinking, as, I don't know why this connected in my mind, but as both of you are parents of young children,
Right.
like in the early 2000s, when the internet was started, like it was a horrible, like don't put your name on the internet, don't give away any age on the internet, or any information on the internet. And now, like it's like, yeah, name, face, location, everything to everyone all the time. I'm wondering like if your guys' standards for your children on the internet will be more in tune with like the early 2000s, or as to like the worst thing you could do in 2004 was meet somebody you met on the internet. And now it's like you only meet, like Tinder, you only meet people to date off the internet and stuff like that.
So I don't put my kids on the internet.
At all?
Very, very rarely. Like my cover photos of their backs.
Okay.
I don't-
I guess more so, I mean, like as they grow up into their own individual.
And that's for their choice to make.
But will you police that at all? Will you be nervous?
I will 100% police the crap out of that. Until they reach a certain age, and then I'm gonna have to be like, all right. Can't invade in their privacy. Like, they need to have privacy too. But they can't be little baddies either. I don't know. This is a topic, no.
I thought you didn't want controversy.
Yeah.
No, but I just think of like some of the kids on TikTok that come strolling down their lane from time to time, like
Yeah, no.
7 and 8 year olds.
Mm-mm.
And it's like they're finding, like there's a community of 7, 8 to 13-year-olds on TikTok, like you said, that have found each other.
Yeah.
That seems ultimately pretty destructive.
That is very.
Destructive how?
Like you just shouldn't be fueling your mind with
To each
thoughts
their
of
own,
other 10-year-olds.
If you're monitoring it, make your own parent rules. To each their own. Love your kids.
But even forget the kid aspect too. Like John, you're very active and open on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
What you do now would be like a mortal sin in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it would be very weird.
So what is the growth that has occurred over the last 20 years that has made that viable?
Everyone just got caught up with me.
They couldn't get enough.
Yeah. I mean, like,
It's just the way of the world.
yeah, everything starts off as, oh, it's scary. You know, we have to fear this change,
Right.
sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And over time, though, as people get more familiar with, no, there's a term for this actually.
Like my grandmother
I just
doesn't even
heard
want to
this
put her
recently.
phone number in the phone book.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really weird. But over time, people get used to some, for example, I just heard this today actually. When the Eiffel Tower in Paris was built, people hated it. Like, they absolutely thought it was an eyesore. They're like, what's this unfinished big tower in our city? And they hated it. But over time, as they became more familiar with it, they began to actually make it part of their identity.
Right.
And now it's loved,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
And the same thing when it comes to the internet, for example, like the internet and the way that we communicate. At first, it's like, what is this thing? Like TikTok, like what happened? Like, how are people reacting to TikTok? They're freaking out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, like, it's going to get more familiar, and I think it's getting to a point where it is more familiar, to where people are like, this is fantastic. This is the greatest thing, right? So everything new is like, it's familiarity. It's like it's that feeling of it's becoming more familiar with something, then you begin to identify with it.
Do you think you should be able to vote online?
100% with blockchain.
Here we go.
Okay.
It's easy to vote online as long as you have a cryptographically secured, decentralized blockchain that's publicly audited and verifiable. Yes,
Probably better than mail-in votes.
100%.
All right.
Okay.
Canada. It doesn't
I honestly
matter
don't.
to us anymore.
There's enough technology out there now that they could have done that. I don't understand why they didn't. Well, I understand.
Because
but
everyone would be scared. That's why.
I don't know. They have the online voting options too, and they're just.
people don't understand. Like, it's very hard to describe decentralized blockchain to somebody, like, in layman's terms. So it's very hard to convince the layman that.
Right.
To somebody in power, it's hard to understand because it's taking away their power.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's what we need to do.
That said, before COVID and everything,
Take over the
I
world.
love
It's time to take over the world.
voting day rules. Like, I love voting day. You go to a fire hall you've never been to. You put your little thing
Or it's
on
the
your
same one you
finger.
go to every year.
Yeah, it's fun. I like that.
The one we used to have dances at. All right. Next.
Well, there's actually only about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So if you want to talk to the chat a bit.
Okay.
Some of them have asked a few of their own questions in there that are, it's up to you if you want to answer them or not.
I read Steve's here. Should there be an age limit to live on this earth so not to overpopulate the world?
But then he said afterwards that that could be a negative question. So he said
Oh, yeah.
you can either scratch that or you can talk about it, but keep in mind that we're staying positive about it.
I wonder if he's under the assumption, like, as time goes on, the age limit will increase to almost infinite proportions as healthcare gets better. Like, it's realistic that people could be living till 200, 300, 400.
Yeah.
Well, the fact is
Maybe
that's
if we
happening
were those
now.
people, yeah. Back in the day, they did live that long already.
Back in the day, what are you talking about?
Whoa.
People died.
Neanderthals.
The
No.
lived to like 6.
Yeah, you were lucky if you made it
No.
into your 30s.
What am I thinking of? The ones with the big heads.
Yeah, you were old if you were 20 as that.
No, you guys need to check yourself.
You're like an elder.
I think you think of the land before time. That's what
No, I'm not.
No, but even today, I mean, the quality of life, it's going higher and higher. Even the governments are now looking at changing what senior cutoff is for when you can get your retirement funds and things like that,
Yeah.
right? Because people are getting so much older and being able to continue with a higher quality of life into their older age, right? So I think that it's very possible that within the next few decades, we could see people living into 100 plus and being like me, good to go, still working, you know?
Because you're 100.
In the next few decades, because our exponential knowledge and understanding of health and everything else is just growing so quickly.
Right.
It's going to be the next generation could end up going into the hundreds. Not hundreds, I'd say 100 plus.
Maybe they'll just cut off your head and put it in a glass jar like they did on The Simpsons and then reattach it. And then how old are you really?
Yeah, I guess you got to go back with how old you feel at that point.
That's
If you do get to live to be 200, for example, but you retire after you're 70 years old or something like that, how does that affect the economy if you're retired for such a longer period of time as comparison to the...
They would have to make the retirement age. If people start living that long, like Jonathan said, they'd have to make the retirement age farther down the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. It would have to be productive. Hey, we're going to Mars, so we got to populate that somehow.
Eat more chocolate
So-
bars. I don't even like Mars chocolate bar. I had one the other day.
Oh, Mars chocolate bars. That's what you're talking about. Okay.
Off topic. I'm a weird one.
No, that was perfect. I mean, that's positive. I love chocolate bars. So
Yeah.
yeah, great. Yeah, let's do it.
What's your favorite one? Do you want to know the top selling chocolate bar in Canada? Can you guess?
Coffee Crisp.
Wrong.
No.
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
Next is Arrow.
But why
Close.
is he wrong?
Because
Because
the
you
guy at
don't
the store
agree.
said it.
Because the numbers say so.
Good one, Bailey. Yeah, the numbers. It's all with numbers. All right. So we just had a little pause there. We can't have those. So we are going to look. I think somebody else asked a question up in here. Maybe not. Wait. Is there a total mind in the universe one?
Is the total mind in the universe one?
Example, we are all an extension of that one mind. Italy. So I don't really understand.
So remember when I talked about how when you go to sleep, it allows you to be able to traverse time and space?
Right.
Okay, so even though we're physically separated, we're actually spiritually connected, is what he's saying. So,
Oh.
so the ability to be able to, when you go to sleep, for example, that could be you being able to communicate with the great, like everybody, sort of thing, right? So, are we all really as separate as we think, or more connected than we know?
I definitely think we're all more connected than we know.
Yeah, 100%.
I was just gonna say 100. I literally, my mouth was like,
You see, we were doing it right there.
100%. Correct, says Noble. Thank you.
Bruce says the Matrix.
What about the Matrix?
He's suggesting that we're all connected through the Matrix.
Oh, I never seen that movie.
You're kidding me, right?
Oh, you're connected to the Matrix. We all are.
Are you? You're joking, right? You haven't seen?
No, I'm not joking.
Okay, you gotta watch it this weekend
Let's go
then.
into the Matrix.
It's on Netflix. There's no excuse for not seeing the greatest movie of all time.
Are we Borg?
Do you know what the Borg are?
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
Who am I?
Yeah, like, were you living in a cave like the last 20 years? Like,
We should do a Matrix watch party, and like we can just sync it up, and people can watch it themselves. We won't play it on screen.
there are some amazing truths
Watch
in that movie, like
In Borg?
that really
The
woke
Borg
up
or the
a generation.
Matrix? Is Borg a movie?
No, the Borg are a race in Star Trek, which would assimilate other races and turn them into like half machines.
Ooh, yeah.
But in the Borg world, in their minds, they were all just hanging out together. Like, you didn't know that until later. On the outside, they looked really super scary. And it was a reflection of the cultural time where there was the fear of communism. So that whole thing really scared people back then.
Well then.
Today, everybody just talks about communism like it's nothing. I don't think anybody's afraid of it anymore. But
John, I don't know if you might have just seen the answer there, but do you know what year the Matrix came out?
1999?
Yeah, okay, so
Was
you're
that
correct, but I thought it was like 2004. Like that's way older than I thought it was.
No, it is pretty old. Yeah, it's a pretty old movie.
younger than me? But all right, folks. That's our podcast for today.
Yes. We talked about positivity today and we answered some certain questions. I don't think we've even scratched the surface on the topics that are related to this.
I know.
But
That's right.
I'd like to hear from the chat if you guys would like us to dive into more topics like this in our podcast, and if you think that it's helping you to be able to survive and thrive in today's world.
Yeah, do that.
You guys
Please
can talk
do.
about what you're doing in about 30 minutes.
We're having pizza?
Nope.
Pizza party, pizza party. Kelsey, you know it.
No.
Kelly just brought up food.
We're getting the results from something we did.
Right, so we did the paranormal thing. You guys all know about that.
Oh, yeah.
We filmed our video. Well, they contacted us and they caught some stuff that we didn't catch
Yes.
while they were here.
Yes.
So they are going to be here in about T-minus
Next hour.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
That won't
And
be live, but we will
Yeah, we'll
gather
live.
it all, and if it's interesting enough, we'll do an episode on it soon. I don't know exactly when, but
do you think it'll be interesting?
I am curious to see what they caught. I remember he was going to really analyze that voice. So
I don't think they'd
I want to
come
see
back
if we
there
hear
wasn't
that.
something to show.
Pardon?
They wouldn't come if there wasn't something cool to show. No thanks.
True, true.
And I think he watched our live because he said he has stuff that we didn't present on our live as well.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much footage.
Yeah. There was a lot from that night. I was in here last night, and normally my mind just doesn't think of the ghost when I'm in here, but it friggin' popped in my head when I was here, and I was like, good thing I just came in to get my rubber boots. Zoom back out.
That's the
All
same.
right.
That's the same way Riley is when he comes here and he's alone. He dashes through here as quick as he can because he's so afraid.
And like I said, I will leave. Sometimes I'll come and go, and I'll leave, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of the ghost when I was in there. But when I do think of it, ah,
Well, just develop more of a positive attitude about it. They're all Caspers.
I've trained my brain to be more positive.
Yeah. Just remember, they're all Caspers. They're all rooting for you
All right.
and crawling up your leg. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us on your Friday.
Don't forget to, imagine if I smash this guy right now.
Yeah.
Smash
Smash the like.
And subscribe if you haven't.
and like the vid if you liked it.
Absolutely. If you liked it.
Don't like it if you don't.
Just don't touch anything if you don't. You can leave now if you did, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
probably wouldn't still be here. If you
have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye, folks.